More concerning the Nord Stream pipelines from Russia to Europe. On the verge of global conflict, special forces dropped 100 TNT bombs on the Russian Nord Stream pipelines. Then these mysterious explosions caused earthquakes. Now, what Biden had said concerning Russian gas pipelines, energy developments at the global level are triggered by the blowing up of Russian natural gas pipelines Nord Stream 1 and 2. According to information, a group of underwater expeditions of an unknown country placed bombs in the thick concrete-coated steel pipes located at the bottom. So, from what the claims are saying, it was definitely sabotage. The Swedish seismologist Björn Lund even reported that at least 100 kilograms of TNT and even more must have been used for these explosions to occur. The Norwegian seismic array NORSAR pointed out that the earthquake caused by the Nord Stream explosions was about as big as one caused by the explosion in Oslo in 2011. The German gas network operator said that Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipelines have suffered a major rupture that have been opened over a long distance. So it's not just a hole, it's a rupture. It's like a huge opening. Now, there is a natural gas leak with a diameter of 1 kilometer in the Baltic Sea, which is pretty big. The pipelines are finished. They are not going to work until the end of the year, probably never again. The damage is massive, according to War News 24/7, and first reported this morning. There were 2 leaks. There's also warning issued for ships. This was followed by 2 powerful underwater explosions in the Nord Stream pipelines, according to Swedish National Seismic Network. One of the explosions caused a magnitude 2.3 earthquake. The other one was a 1.9 earthquake. So both of these pipelines blew up. The explosions created 2 leaks in Nord Stream 1, one in the Swedish zone and one in the Danish zone. They are very close to each other. According to information, Nord Stream 2 was also sabotaged. There was a sudden loss of pressure in 3 individual pipes, one in Nord Stream 2 and 2 pipes in Nord Stream 1. The Russian sources point out the Russian-US conflict is now out of control. If the explosions were caused by the American Special Force operation, then Moscow will react. Unfortunately, the conflict is spreading. The 3 leaks in 2 pipelines are results of sabotage, the latest news says. Denmark says the hole in Nord Stream 2 is really big. Denmark is talking about a large leak. They claim we can see a lot of gas coming out, so it's not a small crack. It's a really huge crack. The Danish Energy Authority points out and warns that gas leaks from the Nord Stream pipeline will continue for days. A major gas leak has been seen from the damaged Nord Stream 2 pipeline in the Baltic Sea, which has a really big hole, according to the Danish Energy Authority, the DEA. The head of the authority says the gas leak will continue for several days, perhaps even a week, and they say that the large amount of bubbles on the surface indicates that the hole in the pipe is very large. Denmark's Maritime Authority has issued a shipping warning and is warning ships not to sail within 5 nautical miles of the spills, as they may lose buoyancy and there may be a risk of ignition above water, the DEA says. The Nord Stream 1 pipeline also has been damaged. Explosions were recorded. Swedish Foreign Minister Ann Linde said the Swedish government is calling an emergency crisis meeting over sabotage against the Nord Stream pipeline in the Swedish waters. And the Danish Energy Authority declares a state of emergency. Swedish National Seismic Network reports 2 powerful underwater explosions in Nord Stream pipelines. One of the explosions created a magnitude 2.3 earthquake. According to the Swedish National Seismological Center, measuring stations in Sweden and Denmark had recorded strong undersea explosions in the areas of Nord Stream gas leaks. One of the explosions had a magnitude 2.3 and was recorded at up to 30 measuring stations in southern Sweden. There is no doubt that these are explosions, said Björn Lund, a lecturer in seismology at the Swedish National Seismic Network, SNSN. The first explosion was recorded at 2:03 Monday night, and the second at 19:04 on Monday night. Warnings about the gas leaks came from the Maritime Administration at 13:52 and 8:41 p.m. on Monday, respectively, after ships spotted bubbles on the surface. SVT has received the coordinates of the explosions, and they are located in the same area where the gas leaks were recorded. According to Björn Lund, information about the explosions has been passed on to the armed forces. Who could be the perpetrator of the attack? ? According to Russian sources, an expeditionary detachment of U.S. Navy ships led by the amphibious assault ship USS Kearsarge was in the area. The USS Kearsarge was 30 kilometers from the location of the area of pollution on the Nord Stream 1 natural gas pipeline and 50 kilometers from Nord Stream 2 natural gas pipeline. On the other hand, the leak is near the Danish island of Bornholm at a depth of 70 meters. It could be a special forces dive. As far as Russia is concerned, spy submarines with special bottom capabilities are no longer in the Baltic. Today, the Russian Navy has the largest fleet of spy submarines in the world. These are based in the Arctic. Not even the special Russian submarine Belgorod is in the Baltic, currently active in the White Sea. If the Russians did it themselves, it may have been done either by Russian Spetsnaz divers with autonomous underwater vehicles or underwater drones, AUVs. A new center for their development is located in St. Petersburg. Some of them may be suitable for such a business. However, Russian sources recall what U.S. President Biden had said about Nord Stream, quote, "Nord Stream will no longer exist. We will put an end to this." To a journalist question, how will this be done since it belongs to jurisdiction of Germany, Biden answered, "I promise you we'll be able to do it." So that's what Biden said about Nord Stream. Earlier, Russia was talking about sabotage. Quote, "Russia cannot rule out any scenario, even sabotage of Nord Stream 1 and 2 natural gas pipelines," end quote, said Kremlin spokesman and Peskov, who expressed his concern over the developments, referring to an issue concerning the energy security of the entire European continent. Quote, "We cannot rule anything out. Obviously, there is some kind of disaster in the pipeline, and nobody can rule out anything about what caused it until we have the results of the investigation," end quote, the Kremlin spokesman said. According to Peskov, these disasters are unprecedented, while he expressed his concern about the drop in pressure and the destruction in the pipelines. Quote, "This is extremely worrying news. We're talking about a pipeline disaster. We still don't know what kind it is," end quote. So it appears to be in the Danish economic zone. The pressure has decreased significantly, Peskov stressed, stating that this is an unprecedented development that requires an immediate investigation. He emphasized this is an issue that concerns the energy security of the entire European continent. Germany and Poland talked about sabotage. Germany suspects sabotage of Nord Stream pipelines, a German official said. At the same time, the energy regulator announced that Germany's stockpiles would help, quote, "build time for industry if a winter emergency arises," end quote. The reason for the drop in pressure on both lines of the Nord Stream pipeline could be a targeted sabotage, the Tagesspiegel newspaper reported on Monday, citing its own sources. In both cases, an investigation into the causes of the incident has been launched, in which the German Federal Security Services are participating. The source says, "We cannot imagine a scenario that is not targeted sabotage. Everything speaks against coincidence," he said. This type of alleged sabotage, the sources say, is far from trivial and must be carried out using special forces such as divers or a submarine. As for who might be behind the possible sabotage, according to initial assumptions, the newspaper said Ukrainian forces or forces linked to Ukraine may be responsible. Other options are also being considered. In Berlin, according to Tagesspiegel, they stress that it cannot be ruled out that the alleged sabotage was planned before gas supplies were cut off, as the time of such special operations can be long. Poland attributes the Nord Stream leak to sabotage. The Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki said, "We are dealing with an act of sabotage. We still don't know the details of what happened, but we clearly see that this is an act of sabotage." So the three locations of the eruptions and images of the holes of Nord Stream are in this article here. I've translated this for you from a Greek article. As you can understand, all these governments involved, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Poland, Germany, all believe that it was sabotage. The thing is, who did it? Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.